if there was some kind of a time, days of Noah, maybe afterwards, that advanced robotics was given to us, the knowledge for it was given to us by the fallen. And if they found something that was ancient, like a Megatron, and that's what they're showing in the Transformers movie, they're reverse engineering a super advanced robot. And then through that, all this technology that we got now, that's how we have it. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to JT's Mixtape. This is episode number 91. And if you guys are enjoying these podcasts, please give me a 5-star review on either Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you.
Come closer, my child.
Well, family, welcome back to the show. Once again, I'm your host, JT. We also have Demon Racers here. What's going on, Brian?
Nothing much.
And we've got AA Ron, To Night Heart. What's going on, Aaron?
What's up, y'all? Happy to be here.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of controversy in the community lately, and we're not going to get into all of it, but it is pretty interesting that a lot of people were pretty accepting of the stuff. I knew that we were kind of kicking a hornet's nest talking about the Tyler situation this past week, but, I don't know, like the more I've kind of thought about it and prayed about it, and I just started to think that, this podcast, our goal is really never to go after people. I mean, it may seem like that sometimes, but I think sometimes with Christianity, like, we don't want to judge. Like, that's not our goal to be here as, like, to people to condemn people. But I think that there's a fine balance of, like, calling people out, depending on the context. Because I think that this is something that we probably should have talked about a long time ago. I mean, it's one thing that when Tyler was calling out people like Brian and I, calling us like Freemasons, which we're definitely not. But if he's just calling out me, I guess I could let that slide a little bit, even though it is slanderous. It's defamation to call me that and to basically undermine my credibility with my audience. Not just my audience, just is in everyday life, that I'm pretending to be something that I'm not, or I'm hiding what I actually am. But yeah, like the difference is like when I went on Sam's podcast and he was talking about that he was laughing when he was being called Sir Francis Bacon and eventually he was being called Diamond Dallas Page. And Sam is kind of a guy who doesn't really care. But then when he was saying, but when he started to get nasty and he was slandering him, and again, he was doing the same thing. He's undermining his credibility with the fact that he's saying he's actually not a legitimate person who's trying to speak what he believes. He's hiding stuff. He's lying. Like that's a whole different level.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think it's interesting because it's like, I don't really care. I mean, like people make videos about me all the time and talk trash or whatever. But the reality is, it's like if you start saying things that are like hurtful against other people, I think that is a different line. And I think it is if you make something against me, don't expect me not to make something responding to you. Like, it's like, at the same time, it's like, okay, well, you're the one that called it out first. Like, we're not typically the ones to draw first shot or whatever. Like, that's just not in the character of a Christian. But if you're going to attack us or attack me, I might respond. I don't know. But for the most part, if we do, we usually say, hey, if we say something about somebody, we're like, hey, have a conversation with us. Like, because I think that's the Christian thing to do. It's like, if I'm going to say something, I'm like, hey, I'll say this. Go ahead and contact us and we'll talk to you if we're wrong or whatever. Like, we're open to conversation.
Like I said last week, it's one thing to say we have a difference in interpretation about something. We got a difference in opinion. But as somebody was saying, like, I know that Brian said that Tyler was demon possessed, and a lot of people got really upset about that.
Did they? Oh, man.
Well, some people did.
He's very demonized. He's absolutely.
The truth is, it's like that he's calling people fallen angels, which is probably the worst thing you could call somebody because, biblically, there's no redemption for a fallen angel. So being demon possessed is kinder to say that because a demon could be cast out of somebody and that person could be redeemed and be restored. But a fallen angel, we know where God prepared a place for them. It's a lake that's burning forever. So like that's where they're going. Like that, full stop. Like
No
Jesus
redemption.
didn't die for them. They're not being forgiven. You know, in the book of Enoch, the watchers come to Enoch and they want him to go to God and try to
plead
argue
forgiveness
on their behalf to let them be forgiven. And God said, no, they're not going to be forgiven. So calling somebody a fallen angel is like, again, it's a bridge too far. And calling somebody evil or a fallen angel is not really an opinion. That's just a lie. I mean, that's a lie to call somebody that we know a fallen angel. So we're not talking about differences of opinion. We're talking about like clear things where it's like that is slander, and I'm not going to put up with that.
My stance with all of this, because it's not just that situation, right? Like there's a handful of other like micro situations taking place right now where people have got problems with people for whatever reason. Pick a problem, pick a stance, pick an issue. My whole thing is like I would rather just talk about Jesus and what Jesus has to say about all of this stuff and let people figure out how I feel about what other people have to say based on my stance towards what Jesus had to say about these same things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, but I was saying that the difference is to me is that when there's dangerous doctrines, dangerous accusations that are being propagated throughout the same community. Obviously, there's overlaps in all these podcasts and the people who watch and listen to them. That eventually, at some point, like I think we have a duty to stand up and say what we believe and to be right, because this stuff is obviously gone way past viral. Like all the stuff he said. So at some point, it's like it would have been better, and we tried not to talk about it. That was my goal, just to never address it. But I said eventually I felt like I had to, because I said it's a difference between, again, there's lots of people making videos about me. Barely ever do I ever even acknowledge it. Because if I did, that's all I would be doing. And I don't do that. Like, some people would say that, oh, well, you should go debate so-and-so. And it's like, we disagree and that's fine. Like, I don't have to go, like, who is that person that I have to go defend myself to that person?
And you make your stances clear. So it's like, well, there's no point in going toe to toe with anybody because you've already shared with everybody how you feel about these different topics.
Sometimes it's kind of fruitless to debate or to try to logically state your case versus somebody else, because that's really not why people came to those conclusions in the first place.
I used to have this mental illness where I thought logical arguments would genuinely change people's mind. I genuinely believed if I laid out the facts, the evidence, the proof calmly enough, the other person would go, "You're right, I need to rethink this." That's not what happens. They just dig in harder. And it turns out there's a reason for that, and it's wired into the brain. Psychologists call it the backfire effect. When someone's belief is part of their identity, showing them facts that contradict it doesn't weaken the belief, it strengthens it. Their brain treats your evidence as an attack and defends the belief even harder than before. There's a study where researchers put people in brain scanners and challenged their political beliefs with solid evidence. The parts of the brain that lit up weren't the logic centers. They were the same regions that activated when you're physically threatened, fight, or flight. To their brain, a fact that threatens their identity is processed like a threat to their life. You're not going to win that with a calm argument. So stop trying to out-logic people whose beliefs were never built on logic in the first place. You can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. Save the energy. The people worth convincing will update on evidence. Everyone else just wants to defend who they are already.
That's what I'm talking about. I think that, like I said, I've probably mentioned this before. One of the very first videos I ever made, and this is before TikTok and anything that I did on Instagram, YouTube, or anything, it was like a realization that I had about changes that were made in my life that Christ changed me. And it was, because it's all about the heart. It was like that God took the heart of stone that was in me and changed it back into a heart of flesh. And so my heart changed first, and then logically I could understand. I was like, oh my gosh, all the things in the Bible are true. you could logically say that, or you could maybe just acknowledge, you say, oh yeah, the Bible's true, but like without understanding like the heart change, like to really understand that it's true. And so with that understanding, I remember thinking about like, I was probably kind of already, I mean, I was pretty conspiratorial. I just didn't talk about it as much back then, but I was probably having more conversations in real life with people like that. And I thought that, okay, so if I could lay out this conspiracy like the way I could logically do it, that they would automatically change their mind and they would understand what I understand and they would believe me. But understanding that the reason they wouldn't believe me is not because I didn't lay out a good case. It's because this did not allow them to believe what I was saying. Because a lot of things that we're talking about fundamentally change people's reality. Like if you find out one conspiracy, like a really dark one, you find out it's true that maybe our government's not our friend. Of course, everybody in this audience is not going to deny that, but a lot of people don't want to believe that. Like even it came down to my father when we talk about like conspiracies like 9/11, or we talked about like the moon landing. He would immediately, you could just see like he started to tense up. And so it didn't matter what kind of evidence I presented to say that, hey, I think that they're lying to us about this, because he was not, his heart would not allow that knowledge to go up here and to change his mind. So with that perspective, I always thought about like as a Christian that people don't remember what you said all the time, but they remember how you made them feel. So like sometimes you say like, oh, this is not fruitful to continue on this path of trying to change this person's mind, because all it really is doing is it's making you frustrated and you're trying to explain it in a different way because you're thinking, okay, if I say it like this, then they're going to get it. But all they're really doing is getting upset. And then you're getting upset with them because they're not hearing you. But again, it's not their ears. It's the same thing when Jesus talks about how, there's this prophecy from Isaiah about how they're going to look, but they won't see. They're going to hear, but they're not going to understand. So it's not like that Jesus wasn't telling them facts. It's their heart was wrong, and their heart wouldn't allow them to see or to hear.
Yeah, it's the same reason as we've discussed on the Afterglow, how as you get closer and go through the sanctification process, you can read the same verses over and over again and receive something completely different from it. Our heart posture changes towards those things, and I don't know, like new revelations are revealed to us. We see things in a whole new light. It's very similar to like going through an experience where, because everyone in the world is literally viewing the things that are taking place in this world with a completely different lens. If you grew up and you were never treated a certain way, you grew up in a very safe household, a very safe neighborhood, a very safe, like everything, you're going to view the world one way. If you grew up in an abusive household in a very rough neighborhood and you were witness to drug dealers and prostitutes and all this crazy stuff, you're going to see the world in a very, very different way. And so you both can go out together on any given evening and see the same things happening, but you're both going to see different things happening, even though you saw the exact same scenarios, right? So it's like everything shifts quite a bit, but something happens in your walk when you receive what you're talking about, like that softening of the heart from the Holy Spirit, and then the word starts to take shape, it starts to come alive. That is by far the biggest shift I've ever had in the way that I see things and the way that I see people.
There's a lot of people who just, because you disagree about this one specific thing, all of a sudden you're controlled op, you're a Mason, you're a Fed. And you're like, we agree about so much. Like, why do you think that we couldn't just have a difference of an agreement about this one thing? Because I think that it is like that certain people are in their ear, and these people have, again, they built this one conspiracy as their identity. So a challenge on that theory is an attack on them. That's how they view it. And that's exactly what that video is saying. It's like that. So there's this cognitive dissonance where they're getting, like, the logical part of their brain is not firing. It's the fight or flight. It's like they're being attacked. And so therefore the people that they're kind of influencing see it the same way. to take a difference of opinion and view it as an attack, well, that's why they react the way they do.
Well, it all
And
comes down to pride, honestly. Again, it's that pride thing. Because you're like, oh, this is obviously the truth. How could they not see that I see the truth? So clearly you're an op, JT. Obviously you're a Fed because I know the truth. It's pride. It's always pride. It's always, every single time, it roots down to that pride space in their mind where they think they know, they think they got the right answer. You don't have the right answer. Therefore, you're attacking them because they think they have the right answer. If people were just humble enough and you'd be like, hey, dude, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? Like, if we would just be humble, then we wouldn't have the attacking of other people. When people attack other people, it always stems from pride, that place of pride.
It's funny because by nature, I'm a skeptic. I mean, in case you guys haven't figured that out by now, like that I'm skeptical of basically everything. So it takes me a while before I get to believe a conspiracy. Like, I'm not the first person to adopt to conspiracy. I mean, there's occasions where like that makes sense. Like, I hear something crazy, but I'm like, that made sense to me. But at the same time, like the reason why probably a lot of people like when I talk about the little C's and I talk about the mud flood in Tartaria, I talk about, Nephilim and angels and stuff like that, the megaliths. I can show you all the steps of why I believe what I believe. And so people like that and they are aligned with what I believe about that. And then when I disregard certain conspiracies, I think that's the more likely why they think that, oh gosh, he's a Fed, is because, well, you say so much true things. So how do you not see this one true thing that I'm saying? Because again, I'm not so quick to adapt to whatever conspiracy is the hottest one of the day. Like, it takes me a minute, and occasionally I give myself room. Well, actually, I always give myself room to say, I don't really believe that. But I mean, again, if you present better evidence, then I'm willing to entertain other ideas as long as you can explain it. So the reason you guys probably like this podcast is I am analytical. I am a skeptic. And so I don't trust the mainstream hardly ever. But I don't trust the conspiracies either right away. Right? A lot of times they're true, or a lot of times they could be true. But more than likely, I'm going to be like the person you're going to have to, okay, show you again. This is how I got to a position. Well, you're going to have to show your work and you're going to have to do a good job to explain it to me. And I don't have to believe you. I think that's fine. Like I said, so that doesn't make me a Fed. That just makes me the person I've always been. It's the person I've been before I even started making content. It's like somebody tell me a wild story and I'm like, no, I don't think I believe that. Like, that sounds made up. So that's the same reason why, like, Brian and I got, we were kind of in a little bit of hot water with some people because we would talk about like Nathan Reynolds on the confessionals and he's saying like some insane stuff. And even though I'm willing to entertain insane stuff, there's probably real stories that I've said, I don't believe it. But more often than not, I'm probably saying, I don't believe that story because it doesn't sound real and it's probably not real.
I think ultimately what it comes down to is this is my belief, is that whatever's going out there in the world, like, it doesn't matter what the enemy wants. The enemy doesn't care if we put out conspiracy content, because what is it ultimately doing? Like, the ultimate goal of the enemy is to take what is valid or true and then turn it into a way where we hate one another. And that's what I think is happening right now. And I see this all the time everywhere. And it's very important to understand this. If the content makes you suspicious of someone, it's like, really what's happening is it's the devil trying to make you suspicious of other people and like, of randos. Okay. They want you to be suspicious that there could be these Nephilim hiding amongst the people that could be your boss. It could be this person. It could be your best friend. It could be, and bro, all it's doing is stirring up the suspicion in society and people to hate one another. That's the enemy's goal. The enemy's goal, the greatest goal of all this conflict between all these things, is to be suspicious of other people and to hate one another. But all you got to do is look at the fruits of people and you'll know if you should be suspicious.
What's going on, y'all? This podcast is brought to you by Modern Roots Life. Modern Roots Life is a Christian-owned and operated company, and it's bringing real health back to its roots. They offer powerful, all-natural health supplements such as beef liver, cod liver oil, beef tallow, magnesium, and mineral-rich salts, all sourced the way God intended. Clean, simple, and from the earth. So whether you're looking to boost your energy, restore mineral balance, or just fuel your family with real nourishment, Modern Roots Life has got you covered. Guys, in this community, we're trying to get healthy in our mind, in our body, in our spirit. So don't neglect your health. If you want more information, check out modernrootslife.com and check the link in my description. You know, people often ask me how they can support me. Well, I think it's pretty cool if you can support me by supporting the people who support me, and you get something in return. And being healthy is a pretty good return. You know, it is a situation where sometimes we do need to reiterate the reason why we talk about the conspiracy stuff that we do is ultimately to lead people back to Christ. So that's why I say, like, you could be right about every conspiracy, and if you're not right about Christ, then it doesn't matter. So, like, without that funneling people back to what's true, because it's like pointing out a million lies without pointing out the true thing, then it's pointless. All this stuff is pointless if we're not leading people back to Christ and saying that ultimately we can't be sure about what's true other than Him. Full stop. Like, so that, I think that's generally where that I could have major disagreements, even about like eschatology, people talking about the pre-trib rapture, talking things that I would consider nonsense. But if they're always pointing people back to Christ, then I can't really be but so mad at them, because I could say we have a disagreement, we have an interpretation difference in the Bible, and I think it's a big one. But at the same time, that those people I'm in more alignment with, because their ultimate why is Jesus, than somebody who believes in the little season, they believe in the mud flood, they believe in Nephilim and all that stuff. Like, that stuff is secondary to the ultimate message of like salvation through Jesus Christ. So those people who can be the nastiest people, they can be the most suspicious people, they can be the most divisive people. So I look at those kind of people and I'm like, I don't know you. Like, you think you know me, but I don't know you. Like, I'm not with you. I'm with the people who are in the flock. I'm with the people that are loving people and are giving grace to people. And I think that's, I don't know, but like I said, I got this video, and this kind of fits into what I was talking about, that it's definitely never my goal to wake up and say, oh, I'm going to attack this person. But at the same time, when you're attacking somebody to defend other people, it actually makes sense, because I think what we've seen in society lately is them allowing crime on the basis of, hey, we're loving people, we're being empathetic with people who are in dire straits and whatever. But at the same time, like when these, like, it's kind of like when situations happen where this guy's been in and out of jail like 50 times and then he ends up killing some innocent person. It's like, were you loving by letting a dangerous criminal out on the streets? You weren't loving all the people that were affected by this. Check this out.
Highly dysfunctional states tend to treat the guilty better than the innocent. A state that can't solve crime but excels at persecuting those who talk about it. A state that gives lesser sentences to violent criminals than to those who hurt those criminals' feelings. A state that straight up protects criminals from their victims. This phenomenon has an explanation. The innocent are easier to control. Sweden, which has dealt with a growing gang problem over the last decade, recently proposed putting preventative ankle bracelets on children at risk of being recruited, as opposed to actually going after the gang recruiters themselves. Why? Because it's easier to control law-abiding citizens than criminals. The former will tolerate a lot of abuse, whereas the latter won't even respect basic rules. A capable state would make life harder for criminals. An incapable state will hinder the innocent. The illusion of competence must be upheld. In response to rapidly rising knife crime, Germany installed anti-knife zones, authorizing police to stick their hands in the pockets of normal people to search them for weapons. This makes law enforcement look busy, but ignores that it is not for a lack of street signs that crime is going up. The right thing for a state that lost control would be to pour its energy into regaining it. But what we're seeing instead is states pouring their energy into maintaining the illusion of control, to the point of solving made-up problems or straight up prohibiting free conversation about the issue. What you have here is a trace of anarcho-tyranny, meaning the worst of anarchy combined with the worst of tyranny. Anarchy, on paper, promises freedom in exchange for order. Tyranny, on paper, promises order in exchange for freedom. They're basically two very dangerous extremes on the same same spectrum, both undesirable in their own ways. Anarcho-tyranny would be no freedom, but no order either. The worst of both worlds. I know I reference this quote a lot, but that's because it's true. Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent, and the consequences of this decay are disastrous. The state basically tells its people that crime is more lucrative than honest work. Why follow the law if the government doesn't care whether you break it? And those who still choose to live the good life out of their own morality, well, for one, they'll lose trust in law enforcement and probably stop calling the police for help. They might also try to protect themselves, and they might be punished for that too. The state cannot or will not tackle crime, and instead becomes a powerful accomplice to the criminals. The only way to solve this would be a radical reform at the top of the broken institutions, but on this channel we've talked many times about how hard it is to find capable leaders who can lead that charge. Unfortunately, today this is happening in countries that pride themselves as part of the free world, bastions of virtue that were supposedly incorruptible. But decay does not care whether a country was free once, or rich, or powerful, or virtuous. Any country can fall apart at the hands of a corrupt state.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, is that mercy for the guilty is cruelty for the innocent. So, like, if we need to make sure that, like, that there is some form of justice, even in our own communities. Now, we're not the judge, but I think that when you see evil, or you see lies, you see things that affect people you love, and you don't say anything, you don't do anything, it's like, well, are you actually loving the people you care about? It's like I said, it's something, as I try to mature in what I'm doing. Like, it's something I need to think about. Like, I'm never going to be one of those channels who, like, all I do is talk about other people, like put them on my thumbnails and say, oh, we're talking about this person today. We're talking about this wolf today. But occasionally I feel like that we're compelled to do something or say something.
Yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to not wanting to be irresponsible with the people that the Holy Spirit has charged you with leading. And let's be incredibly clear. I know you didn't start this podcast. Brian didn't start his podcast. You know, we didn't start the Afterglow. Like, none of that was because we were trying to be leaders. We're not trying to be leaders. We just had something to say. And it was inspired by the Holy Spirit. And as a result, people started listening. People started subscribing. People started following, people started caring, it started ministering to people, it started helping people. So to be aware of that and to realize, like, especially over on the Afterglow, it's helping people, it's changing their lives, it's getting them through things, it's helping them piece things together, it's convicting people, it's drawing them closer to the Holy Spirit. We have a responsibility to those people to help lead them properly. And yeah, if there's a pitfall somewhere or something we can help them avoid, and that's why I said earlier, I think the best way we can help them avoid that stuff is by making it clear what the Bible has to say about these topics specifically. So that way because we can't always protect them or always be there every time they decide to go and watch someone else that might be into some fringe stuff. But if they know what the Bible has to say about certain topics, then we've done the best we can do. You know what I mean? Like, we've done the best we can do to help build them up and prepare them for those situations.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's what you're right about. That is that, especially from my perspective, is that, so I'm one of the more prominent people talking about the little season online. And so I had, like, a Dean Odell come after me and talking about how I'm, like, one of the leaders of people talking about this. I mean, is he wrong? I don't think that he's wrong. I mean, I think he was wrong about a lot of things. He probably wasn't wrong about that. And it's so, I've always tried to state that I'm just a guy. I'm just like you guys in the audience. I'm on a truth journey. I'm conducting my truth journey in a very public way. Things I learned today is the things I typically talk about that day or the next week or the following weeks. And so I can tell people I'm not a leader. I can tell people I'm not a teacher, but yet people are listening to me as a teacher and they're following some of the things that I say and believe as a leader. And I'm not saying everybody here is doing that. I'm not trying to say that I'm a leader. But some people don't choose to lead, and they're actually thrust in a position to lead. So you have to be very careful because there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. And yeah, I think that it kind of goes back to that old expression about how, you catch a man a fish, you feed him for a day, or you teach a man to fish and he feeds himself for a lifetime. It's like that. What we want to do, regardless if you agree about the different conspiracies, I want to show you how, like, my thought process and why I believe things that I believe. And again, so I can show my work. So if you guys in the audience decide I don't believe what you're saying, or I don't agree with what you're saying because I've done the same thing, or I've came to a different conclusion, fine. That's totally fine. I think that's cool. I think that's normal. I think that's healthy. Again, if we have 3 people on this podcast, we agree about lots of things, but we have disagreements, and that's fine. And that's why, again, this podcast works, is that it's not always an echo chamber, that we are believing we have our ultimate truth that keeps us as brothers in Christ, but then we have differences on what we believe to be secondary issues.
Well, it works because we all love Jesus. Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's the important part.
Yeah, like listen, I disagree with Brian on so many things, and I think it was obvious. When it was obvious, like on the podcast, like you and I butted heads a handful of times. That I wasn't trying to oppose you. I wasn't trying to be hurtful. I wasn't trying to be mean. I wasn't trying to make you look bad. Like, that was never my heart. But I also misunderstood you quite a bit. And then we got to hang out, like, face to face, and I got to get to know your actual heart. And I got to see you, like, interact with people, and I got to see your character in person. And I settled down a lot after that, because I was able to come to the conclusion, like, all right, I don't need to agree with him on everything. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt this man loves Jesus. I know that he does. I know that he loves Jesus. I know that, I'm a few years older than you. And I look back on my life, and I look back on, like, how I was seriously just a boy, dude. I mean, in a lot of ways, I'm still just a boy. But I was just a boy, and I'm not calling you one. I'm just saying, like, I was until just a few years ago. And I'm in my mid-40s now. And so I was able to look at it and go, man, anyone that's, like, on their path and they're learning about Jesus and they're trying to figure it out, and they're putting themselves out there and they're kind of figuring it out in public. It's even harder to figure it out in public because you've got so many critics. But, like, I'm just saying, it gave me a huge understanding for who you are as a person. And if I was seeing you a certain way as a co-host, and then my mind changed when I got to hang out with you in person, there's no way everybody that's watching our show or anyone else's show can fully understand the character of a person just by watching a short blip, by watching them for an hour, by watching them for 2 hours. It's like, and that's why I do my best personally to not make any of my content about me. That's why I don't talk about myself. That's why I don't talk about my personal life, my personal accomplishments, because, like, I am literally nothing without Jesus. And I'm not saying that to sound humble. I'm saying that because it is an absolute fact. And I've gotten chopped down to size 500 times as a reminder of that. And so I finally got to the point where I'm like, dude, it literally isn't about me anymore. I just want to talk about Jesus, and I just want to lead people properly, because I spent so many years not leading people properly. And when I say leading people, I just mean being a bad example to people in life. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to help people as much as possible avoid every pitfall possible. So like we were just talking about, so that they can avoid them on their own. And I think that's what love is, And so I think everyone in the community, I think firstly, we need to recognize also, not everyone in our community is born again. Not everyone that watches your content, JT. In fact, I would say there is a huge amount of people that watch your content that do not follow Jesus.
Honestly, I hope so. I mean, that's
right.
That is the point. Like, that is the point of a lot of this, is that when we do this stuff, and I remember I made a decision about this a long time ago, especially back on TikTok, is that I could do all Bible-focused content, and it would be for Christians. But my message isn't just for Christians, it's for the lost. It's like, it's the sick that need a physician. So, like, that I honestly pray and I hope that that's talking about Tartaria and the mud flood and and old world buildings. I hope that brings people in to listen, and then they get, hey, you know what? They got a gospel message and they didn't even ask for it. And that's my goal.
We just don't want them to get stuck there. We don't want them to get
No,
stuck
we don't
watching
well,
for
that's what I'm saying.
entertainment
I don't want them
and never
to,
taking the next step.
I want them to come here to talk about fallen angels, but I want them to stay because they found Jesus.
Amen.
But yeah, so anyways, let's shift gears now. I want to let's just do something funny first. I think this is a funny video. I think we are all kind of, even though I'm the eldest in this podcast and Aaron's a little bit younger, Brian's a little bit younger than that. But we're all familiar with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so I saw a really funny video about, we're not even get to the reptilian controversy about the fact that maybe there's code in that thing, pizza, reptilians living under the ground. I guess I just talked about it. But this is pretty funny because this is a guy, it's an interview with somebody from the Foot Clan. If you guys don't remember, the Foot Clan was like the gang that was under Shredder.
The Foot Soldiers, yeah.
Check this out.
And then we learn the horrible truth. Everything. The warehouse, the ninja weapons, the arcade games, the turtles, the whole Foot Clan, all of it was so that Shredder could get revenge on the rat that scratched his face 20 years ago in Japan. Like, think about how insane that is. Like, first of all, I'm not even talking about Splinter emigrating to America. Like, forget about that part. Just think about the logistics of Shredder tracking a rat from Japan to America and then finding like one specific rat in New York City. Like, think about that for a second. And then the rat turns out to be mutated to a point where it's practically Danny DeVito size, and oh my god, he's got an army of turtles fighting for him too. And that's when I learned that Donatello was 16. All the turtles were 16. Like, we were kids, they were kids too. And realizing that we were all just child soldiers in this horrible blood feud between an insane Japanese man and the rat that scratched his face 20 years ago. Took me a while to come to grips with that.
So what's the secret of the ooze?
Oh god, you want to know about the ooze?
Dude, that's hilarious. You don't think about that when we were younger. Like, we didn't realize that whole feud was just because his face got scratched.
You kind of wonder if you want to go meta on this, you want to think about this from like a bigger perspective. Like, how much of like the things that we're dealing with, like the factions that have been created, were started over nonsense
Because someone's face got scratched.
Somebody's got this really petty feud, and then somehow it's become this massive war that we're dealing with. It's just, yeah, that's the funniest thing, is that Shredder's going to New York City to find one rat that scratched his face.
Yeah, and if you think about that, he was still a rat before he turned into a big rat in New York, right?
Right.
So-
He was a rat until he got mutated in New York. So did Shredder know that he could fight back with Kung Fu?
I gotta go back and rewatch those. Missing some plot holes or some plot lines.
What do you think about that, Brian?
I mean, I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles look a whole lot like Kappas to me. So I don't know, the Kappa.
No, we're not going to get into trying to take somebody's soul through their anus.
I think it's so unusual. There's so much to it. I mean, that whole Ninja Turtle thing. I mean, obviously, we already discussed that Michelangelo, Leonardo, Donatello, and Raphael are all angels that potentially built stuff during the Millennial Reign Kingdom. And then they've got this thing that like it just like overlays so many elements of folklore into this thing to like just erase our perspective of history. I think that's all it is. It's just like a history erasing tool. It's kind of what it seems like to me.
I'm going to shift gears. I want to talk about, again, how the conspiracies are so out of control that you can't get away from it. Like all the weird stuff that we talk about and the stuff that 5 years ago seemed so insane to the people around us. And now it's just everywhere. Like, I don't even know, like, what, again, I still don't interact with a ton of people who don't know the stuff that we're talking about now. But sometimes I'd like to ask them about, like, what do you think about some of this stuff? Like, what do you, Like, what do you know at this point? Because like when this stuff is being shared by the White House, who doesn't see this now? So did you guys see this video that the White House put out? Some kind of little cartoon?
Probably not.
I don't
Okay,
know.
well, good.
This video that the White House just released is insane, and you have to check it out. More hidden messages, and these are even stranger than before. As a professional noticer, I'm going to go ahead and tell you several things that I noticed. One was the 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 wins. This signifies that not only did he win the first election, but he won the second election, and that he's going to win a third election. And a lot of insider talk says that there may not be another midterm election, there may not be another election, and Donald Trump may be our president once again. It's just a theory. A lot of people are saying it, but it's interesting that it says this on a White House video. Another thing is him dressed like Superman coming in on a UFO to save the White House. And you guys remember I showed a video yesterday that he posted on True Social as him as Superman pulling George Washington off a cliff trying to save the United States. And there's a weird cryptic message in that as well. You also have the idea that a lot of these people that are doing horrific, nasty things are aliens, hidden, dark creatures, and that's probably true. So there's a lot of interesting things in here. This is the president of the United States posting these things. This is wild. I love it.
Dude, there's so much to unpack there. Like, why are they in a UFO? What's that thing chasing them? And what the heck was that cop petting?
Dude, that looked like a demon, I think. I don't know.
I was thinking about that.
means.
Should we look at some single frames of it? and
Yeah.
discuss?
I'm
Well,
mainly
it's a
curious
Rick and
about what
Morty
the cop
thing.
was petting.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a Rick and Morty spoof. So it was like from the cartoon Rick and Morty, and they it's like a spoofing of it. But the fact that they put that out there, why would they let that be played? Like, who made that?
Indeed.
That's weird.
That's what we're saying. We're trying to say that I think what they want us to do is I think they want us to read a lot into it. You know what I'm saying? Like at this
Of
point,
course they do.
it's because it's like they're leaning into all the crazy. So they want us to say, oh, what does it mean? Does it mean that, Q is about to do its thing and the White House is about to rise up and the secret spaceships are going to be revealed, and then all the aliens and the people from They Live are going to be arrested. All the the pod people, whatever. Is that what they're trying to say?
So I don't know.
But
it's
obviously
pretty
that's not
freaking
like
weird.
that's not legitimate. Like obviously that's not going to happen. We know that the outer space stuff is fake. We know the alien stuff is fake, but they really want us to believe that the alien stuff is real. And this is some
Yeah.
kind of a thing for that. I was okay. Let's look at a couple frames because I thought some of it might be interesting. Okay, so of course he loves some Diet Coke. He got the MAGA hat. We saw the MAGA enlightening at the end. Of course, we know what that means. Now John Pounder said 1 + 1 + 1 = 3 wins. See, he's saying that he's going to run again, but if I'm going to take his interpretation, I would say that Trump thinks he won the second one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
He's
So
won
he-
3 times
So
already.
he's saying that he's won 3 times, which I actually don't even disagree with him about that. I think that he did win in 2020. But yeah, like I don't know that means he's going to win again. But then, okay, we'll fast forward a little bit. Of course, we got the UFO. Any kind of symbolism there? I don't see it. It's really gay the way they're running. Okay, so that's an alien, but is it an alien? That's got wings. Like
It's a demon. It's definitely a demon. What's with the mouth thing wide open thing?
He's trying
Like,
to
what-
handcuff it. What are those? Are those eyes? The red things?
I think those
Yeah.
are his eyes.
You know what it
yeah.
kind of looks like to me? It looks like those. Did you guys see the Justice League movie?
No.
Maybe a
Well-
long time ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, there was some kind of there was creatures that looked like this that were like connected with, I think, who was the dumb villain in that? I don't know. But yeah, like that there was these kind of like almost bug-like demon aliens. So they kind of look similar to that.
Wait, what was on his hat? What was on his hat?
CBP. Is that something Border Patrol? Customs and Border Patrol.
Okay.
Good. We got the Artemis rocket. Fake. Look at the astronauts
The four
in there.
people just chilling in the glass window. So funny.
Yeah, I don't see anything else there other than that. So that's fake. We know that's fake. Okay, like so they're in. Okay.
Wait. Who is that? Who is that sitting at the? That's
Chuck Schumer.
That's Chuck Schumer. Okay.
That's Chuck Schumer, and of course you've got portals all over the place in here.
These are demonic portals, by the way, guys. These are the demon portals.
Okay, so he takes off his thing. Is he a robot or is it like they live? I think it looks more like a robot to me.
It does look like a mix of both, but
It
yeah,
does.
definitely a robot. Well, it's just showing you that Chuck Schumer is just a mouthpiece for Israel. So
Yeah, it's definitely related to Israel. But no, like, yeah, it's like it seems more likely that he's an android or he's just a robot.
He's
a
a puppet.
robot.
All the politicians. He represents all politicians are puppets.
And then so they're being chased by some kind of a dragon thing that's shooting lasers out its eyes.
Is that like a mama version of the thing that the cop was trying to arrest?
Yeah, it looks like it. Maybe. Who's
you know what it kind of looks like?
Do
you remember in Man of Steel? And actually, I got something to say about Man of Steel next because Josh talked about Superman.
Who's in there in the spaceship next to Trump? Who's
That's
that guy?
JD Vance.
Oh,
bro.
sorry.
We're not sure. This kind of looks like. Do you remember in the Man of Steel when Jor-El was riding on some kind of weird dragon when he was in Krypton?
Yeah. No,
you guys remember that? Anyways, me and Josh talked about that. So, okay, let's see.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so then they're just again MAGA. So we already established that MAGA is the highest degree of the Church of Satan, and that was clearly demonic and stupid and gay. Whatever we just watched. So again, like we're talking about how stupid some of these conspiracies are, and you're like, there's none stupider that are coming out of our own White House. Like this stuff, it's like, and I think it's like that people are prepped to say, what does it all mean? It might mean nothing. It might just mean confusion. And I think that that's probably more likely the goal is to say, well, this has to mean something. I mean, it could, and we did just break it down to see if it was showing anything. But that's probably what they want us to do.
So did the White House actually put that out? The White House put that out?
Or Trump did. I think it was something that Trump shared on Truth Social. Truth be told, I don't know for a fact that he shared it on his thing. So I know that sometimes people say Trump shared this on Truth Social. I'm not over there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he said. It is interesting that he showed himself wearing a cape, pulling up George Washington at Mount Rushmore.
Listen, I mean, sharing cryptic conspiracy stuff now, it is the new social meta. Like, that's why everyone's doing it. That's why celebrities are doing it to promote movies. The White House is doing it to promote their stuff. Like, literally, like, the conspiracy stuff has become the new meta for everyone to promote stuff.
Did we ever get a consensus on what's his name that was doing Franco's conspiracy? Did that happen, Aaron?
I thought we already established that the alien was real.
Oh, yeah. The alien. That's real. No, you're totally right, Aaron. But did we ever get a consensus? Or did you just say, surprise, it's my new movie? Did he ever conclude it?
I don't know.
Did you just
I thought you were the one that was following that closer than any of us.
Shoot.
Yeah, it's up to you, Brian, to find out. Oh, you know what? We did miss a frame. This one I thought was sort of interesting. I assume that's Earth.
No, that's Saturn, or that's just a random planet. It's nothing.
Is it?
It's a made-up planet. It's not nothing. It's not a thing.
That is very detailed, though, for a random planet.
Yeah, I mean, if this is
it's got rings
quote unquote
around it,
our solar system, which obviously you guys know that I don't believe in that, but like this looks like it's got water and it's got a landmass here. I don't know what the heck is this little yarmulke on the top of it.
The
But
yarmulke's an explosion. It's a nuke.
but then obviously, like, as far as I know, there's not a wandering star with 2 rings around it.
Because that's the moon in the background.
Is that?
Yeah, see?
Do we go into that planet?
Posted on True Social.
But they're flying into it.
Interesting.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's go back and look at when he.
I guess it is.
Did we miss that, or did
supposedly-
you not show that part in the other one? Oh, look,
I guess it is.
that's Earth, dude.
It is
See?
Earth.
Like, so
It's Earth.
what's going on? What's going on with that?
That's a weird. Well, Earth's got a yarmulke, bro. Obviously.
And
It
there's
looks like the atomic symbol.
yeah, and then it's so we have no idea what's happening here, but it looks like they were going into an explosion.
Yeah.
Weird.
Double explosion.
Well,
Like
it worked.
Double rainbow.
Whatever they were trying to accomplish with that video, it worked.
Maybe. I guess the point is
They got us
That-
talking about it.
we're not we're not taking it seriously, but I mean it is still worth talking about. It's like, this is stupid. It's just, I don't know. Again, this is like what I'm talking about. It's like, this is like the brain rot that I get why people take it seriously because of all the other things they've been seeing and all the push for the 4 different races or whatever of aliens and the things that are going to expose with ATIP or IWAS or Tim Alberino going on Joe Rogan talking about aliens and the Kandahar giant and all that stuff.
Did you hear what JD Vance said on Joe Rogan's podcast, actually? Let me bring that up because I think I sent it to you guys, but he straight says, okay. I guess I have to play it, but maybe I'll download it or something. But like, maybe I'll just play it here. Listen, this is what he says. It's just so simple. He says this on Joe Rogan's podcast, and you just got to ask why.
Conspiracy theory. One of the ways you discredit a conspiracy theory, I thought about this a lot, is try to hide it. Another way you discredit a conspiracy theory is by flooding the zone. So
That's it. One of the ways you
Hide a
discredit
conspiracy theory is to like hide it. Another way is to flood the zone with it.
And then secondarily, he said, and I've thought about this a lot. Why, JD Vance? Why did you think about this a lot, bro? Give me a little bit. I'm just so curious why you thought about discrediting a conspiracy theory a lot. Makes you wonder why. I don't know.
Well, no, that fits. That fits. I want to say that quote from Obama when he's talking about how you can just pump all this raw sewage out into the public through misinformation. So you put a lot of it out there, and then that actually, again, hides the truth. And that's exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly what I said about last week, talking about some of the dumber conspiracies. And a lot of the people who I say are the biggest perpetrators of these dumb conspiracies, some people in the comments would be like, well, they share a lot of truth. I was like, but that's the problem. Like, that's literally the problem. The problem is that they share so much false things that when they do share something truth, like, how is a normal person supposed to navigate what's true and false out of all the dumb stuff they've said? So then that's why we always say, like, that you have certain people that are the controlled op, and they do say a lot of true things. But then they insert some lies. But now we're not even talking about those people. We're talking about people that say a million dumb things, and then they say a few things that are true. So, like, I think that's exactly what he's kind of suggesting, is that you put a bunch of stuff out there, and then it gets lost in the shuffle. And I think that's exactly what we're saying, is that so when truth is revealed, normal people say, well, how are we supposed to figure out any of this stuff? Because we know that's false. We know that's dumb. And so they think the truth is dumb too.
See, that's exactly. So that video to me has JD Vance's quote all over it. In fact, I'm pretty sure JD Vance was like, Trump, listen, we're going to put out this random video and we'll get all the people sniffing around these nonsensical meanings in this clip. I think that's what that was. That's my guess.
Okay, I've got another video. Let's switch gears. I'm going to do this as an ode to my good friend Paul Stobbs, Understanding Conspiracy. He was back on the podcast, and if you guys hadn't checked that out, you guys should check that out. It's a great podcast talking about vampires, dragons, and of course clowns. and I saw this video about this clown hotel. Have you guys seen this?
No.
I think we should stay here, Brian.
Everyone tells you how the Clown Motel is and pretty scary. Would you or would you not stay the night?
What the heck did I just watch, bro? Like, what the freaking heck is, like, what? Why? Is that in California? That's got to be in California.
Let me see. I'm gonna look it up where
That's
it's
totally
at.
in California. That's like a crazy dude. What the heck is that? And there's like creepy cemetery next to it. Like, oh my gosh! Like what the heck? Why would
They know
people
what
be
they're
like,
doing.
dude? What is going on? And why? Who refers to themselves as Clarence, like their parents, like all because of Clarence? Why would you refer to your dad? I don't know, man. That's just weird. That's so many levels of demonic weird.
It's in Nevada.
Close
so maybe
enough.
when we're in Vegas, we can go swing over there.
Yeah,
and
we'll go hang
spend
out.
the night. I'm not staying at the room with the blood dripping down the door.
Yeah, no, just the one with the it hanging over your face.
No, I mean, so it's funny. We were talking about it with Paul. Of course, Paul's obviously got to be the most researched person ever when it comes to clowns. And we're talking about the condition that psychologists have deemed chlorophobia, where it's the irrational fear of clowns.
It's not irrational.
That's what I'm saying. I said, can you guys think of an instance in pop culture or the last instance where a clown was not depicted as a psychotic demon?
Yeah, or
You know what I'm saying? Like, because obviously it was a time, and obviously when I was a kid, you go to the circus and there's clowns there, and they're weird, but they didn't have fangs or anything like that. They were just like, they were stupid.
Bro, all the Freemasons are clowns, bro. The Shriners are all they have a clown division. That's where clowns come from. It's all Masonic. Like if you go to a Masonic temple or whatever, they'll have like photos and stuff of like their clown groups. And so it's like that's what they do. They go to hospitals and they're clowns, and they're all Freemasons that do this. Like I learned that fact and I was blown away when I learned that. I was like, "There's no freaking way."
Well, it was
They're
the
all freaking
Oddfellows too.
Freemasons.
The Paul brought up the connection with like P.T. Barnum and like the Oddfellows, and one of the symbols of the Oddfellows is 3 rings, and that's where you get like the 3-ring circus, like the basically the master, the conductor of like the circus wears like the master mason hat, and he's conducting where all the clowns and all the freaks are doing and all the animals. Yeah, there's a lot there. So the real question is, though, that what's up with the story with the graveyard? Actually, I shouldn't laugh at stuff like that, but I was kind of giggling to say that this graveyard is from, of course, like 1901, and it has a lot of people from the town that died of a plague and also a fire. So they had like a great fire and a plague in this town. And
they decided to keep it going.
You guys, obviously, you're from out west. I've been out to Nevada a lot over the past bunch of years. You drive around that area. obviously between the towns there is nothing. Like
Mhm.
there's so much nothing. You can't even imagine how much nothing there could be in almost every direction when you get outside of like Las Vegas. So why are you putting a motel right? Because obviously the motel seems to be newer than that old creepy graveyard. So why would you put that there? So obviously it doesn't make sense because clowns are demonic that you would it fits the motif of like the psychotic clown when you're putting it right next to some creepy haunted graveyard.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. Well, here's what's interesting. And I know you guys have talked about Ronald McDonald before, but what's interesting from a pop culture perspective, all clowns from my whole life in TV shows, like movies, everything, they've all been presented as creepy on purpose. They've all been presented as creepy from a horror perspective, not normal. The only clown they tried to present to us as normal and acceptable was Ronald McDonald.
No, and Robin Williams.
Wait, what?
Robin Williams. He was in that movie where they made him like that doctor, right?
I don't know.
He was a
anything
clown.
about
He was
that.
a clown in a movie.
No. He was a clown doctor. Robin Williams, clown doctor. Type it in. I don't know what movie it is. Where it's like he's like saving these children from cancer. Well, it's just Ronald McDonald and Robin Williams. There's only two people I can think of.
But I mean, they went hard on Ronald McDonald, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Like, they went so hard on Ronald McDonald, and he doesn't really show up in a lot of stuff anymore. But like, he's the only real one that they put a massive effort in trying to pitch as normal. And all of the rest of them were creepy. And yeah, sure, like Robin Williams might have had that one. And there might have been like brief stints in certain movies where like someone was portraying a clown like at a kid's party or something, and it was like a brief stint. But for the most part, it was mostly pushed on us that they were horrific and creepy things. I don't know. It's just an observation.
They're definitely unsettling. And you know what's even crazier is like the freaking the demonic association's so obvious. Like when you look into all the details. Oh wait, you're bringing up which was this? What is this? Shakes
the clown. Is that Robin Williams?
No, I don't think that is. Is that Robin Williams in there? No, it's where
it's
Robin
Bobcat Goldthwait. Well, that's the
Robin Williams when he was a doctor. When he was a doctor.
Yeah, it's Robin Williams.
What? Robin Williams in there too? Okay, he's got 2 clown movies? Dang, didn't even know that. So he's got another clown movie.
Let me see. Let's see. Clown doctor movie.
Clown doctor Robin Williams. And then he's like I don't know. He like has a red nose. That's all I remember. Which, by the way, guys,
that's not strengthening your case, Brian. Oh yeah,
guys,
Patch Adams.
That's it, Patch Adams.
Yeah,
that's
right.
it. Okay, and by the way, the red nose, for those that don't know, is a characteristic of a large nose that was referred to by a certain group of people that wore a funny little hat. But
it could also be a situation where they're an alcoholic.
There's that too. Yeah, there's that association. But see, Patch Adams, he's been clowning. Yeah,
I guess the truth is, but he's not. Did he wear all the face paint and stuff?
I don't remember. But dude, you know what? In my town, there was a guy actually growing up that would like stand on the street corner with a machete and dressed as a clown during like all the month of November. And like the police got called out, and then there started being multiple versions of this guy. Like they would stand with like one guy stood outside with a chainsaw, and he would just stand in the middle of nowhere. And like people started like calling about it, and he would just stand there all day with a chainsaw or a machete or an axe. And like there started being other ones of people doing this, and it became like
were they
trend.
dressed like clowns?
Yes, dressed like clowns, standing in the street corners.
I'm pretty sure
with an axe.
Paul talked
Like,
about that
joking.
phenomenon. It was something that started happening all around the country or the world.
Dude, it was happening all over the place. It was weird.
Well, see, I think what I was describing to Paul is like, this is from my perspective. This seems like the progression to me. It's that I agree with Paul's idea that this is some depiction of some kind of a demon or some kind of Nephilim. So the early renditions, or like where the clown costume was modeled after, was like the Rakshasa from like India, right?
Rakshasa,
and so they started as flesh-covered demons, and then they morphed into something that was a little more innocent, but then quickly, I mean, as culture goes, they quickly morphed back into what they were supposed to be all along is that they're demons.
They're demons.
They're
Look,
flesh covered demons,
do you know that
and they're
there's
like undead, and that's why they have the pale skin. It's like that's why we're comparing it to like the things with the vampires and stuff.
Did you know there's a thing called clowncore, which is a new style of clothing where people are dressing up like this? It's literally like a thing. It's literally called clowncore. It's like hardcore, but it's clowncore, and they're like people like they're doing this kind of thing with their makeup and their dress. Like, dude, I know like 2 people that dress kind of similar like this, and they wear makeup and they put the little slits on their eye things. And I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Like, I'm like,
Brian, you
bro,
of all
it's like a
people
normal
should
thing.
know what's wrong with those people.
Well, I know
I'm
that
surprised you haven't just straight said it. It's like,
well, I
they're
know it's demons,
demon-possessed.
bro. I know it's demons for sure. But like, look at this. It's like they're mixing like hardcore, like they mix this kind of stuff with like clown stuff.
It's not a good look. I mean, it's not a good look. I can't imagine anyone doing that who's not influenced by demons.
Bro, it's wild. The clowncore thing, it's wild.
But like I said, to me, it's like the whole condition of what chlorophobia or whatever. It is like the ultimate form of gaslighting. Is saying it's an irrational fear of clowns.
It's irrational.
There's totally irrational reason to be creeped out by those things because they don't look normal, and it does. I mean, it really does go back to what we were talking about many podcasts ago at this point about how there was this innocence in America like 50, 60 years ago, 80 years ago, where, oh, this is just a fun thing for kids. But now, obviously, we're a lot more cynical. Maybe we're a lot more realistic about things. And we're like now, if somebody, like if this thing was introduced today and somebody started dressing up like that and them trying to make it a thing, every one of us would say, what the heck is that? And they're saying, do you want to hire this guy to work at your kid's birthday party? And you would say, you would probably try to attack the person who suggested that. You want to, that thing's going nowhere near my kids. So like, how did they ever, like, said they must have been so naive back when they first introduced this idea that's the only thing that makes sense to me because, yeah, the only reason I wasn't creeped out by it, probably because I was there to see, I don't know, the tiger jumping through the ring of fire. Like, I didn't care about the stupid clowns. The clowns are like secondary. Like, nobody cares about the clowns. We want to see the elephants. We want to see the guy on the motorcycle.
Well, the clowns were a figurative replacement for the freak shows. So it's like when they stopped having as many giants and as many dwarves and hairy bearded
ladies,
women. Well, they're hairy people. They weren't just bearded ladies. Their whole bodies were covered in hair because they were like Nephilim descendant people that they were trying to manipulate and say, oh, it was like a reenactment of Solomon's authority over the demons. Even though they're human, they just had like a hair disorder at this point. But like that was literally the reenactment. And so when they started getting less, the clowns, I think, stepped in that place. And the clown imagery was a representation of the demonic authority. But what's fascinating too is the clown hat. So like the clown hat, that pointy hat the clowns wear, that like they'll wear the tall with the balls on it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like all that stems from like Judaism. Like it's like, which is very like, it's so, dude, when you start digging into it, bro, like the hat, that pointy hat was called the dunce hat is the same hat. The dunce hat, like if you're a dunce, if you're a bad person, or the punishment hat, right? Or it's like, or you're a stupid person, you wear the pointy hat. That pointy hat is what the clowns wear, but that pointy hat was actually a punishment in the I think it was like the 1800s or something. It was a punishment that started that they would force the people that were accused of sorcery and witchcraft to have to wear this large pointy hat. Like that was literally the punishment. And they had to wear this big pointy hat as a form, and then it became the wizard's hat, and then it became the witch's hat.
It reminds me of more of the fish hats.
Are you talking about the Pope's Dagon looking hat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was a punishment though. Even if that's what it was like a punishment to identify if you were accused. And the Jews oftentimes had to wear those hats all the time because they were accused of sorcery and witchcraft, and so they would wear those pointy hats. And then the pointy hat got smaller and smaller and smaller. And then it became the style, and they stylized it a little bit different. But that's the origin of all those hats that you see.
Birthday hats too. They're
Yep,
the same
birthday
thing.
hats. Yep.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah, that is weird, right? The birthday hat. A lot of hats in culture are strange. Like when I was talking about my daughter graduating and wearing that stupid hat that they make the graduates wear.
You know,
Cube?
With a big square on the top of it, like a yarmulke with a square attached to it. That's weird. Like I said, that's really
It's
weird when
very
you think
weird.
about. Actually, when you think about like graduation ceremonies, it seems very Masonic. Like when you
Well,
actually
it
watch
is.
this stuff, and you're like, this is weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, where did all this ceremony come from? I think we know.
The Masons,
Okay,
yep.
I
Well, that's
want
why they
to-
call it degrees. That's why you get a degree. Like,
Right.
it's all Masonic, all of it.
Okay, I want to continue on. Maybe this fits because this is going to be about a haunted house. Because I think if that clown hotel is haunted, which I don't doubt that it is, let's watch a video about a haunted house.
Did you know there's a house in Nyack, New York that was legally declared haunted? Yes, you heard that correctly. Legally haunted. The New York Supreme Court ruled this house haunted in 1991. A woman named Helen Ackley lived in this beautiful Victorian mansion for over 20 years. Helen claimed it was haunted by multiple poltergeists. Footsteps heard throughout the halls, doors slamming on their own, even a ghost that would shake her daughter's bed every morning at the exact same time to wake her up. The house went up for sale in 1989, but Helen failed to disclose its haunted history to the buyers. So when the Stambovsky family, who had already signed a contract and put down a deposit, learned about the house's reputation, they wanted to back out of the sale. This led to a lawsuit commonly referred to as the Ghostbusters ruling. Since Helen had already publicly claimed that the house was haunted in a Reader's Digest article, the court said she owed the same honesty to the buyer. Stambovsky won the case. He was able to back out of the sale, and just like that, this Victorian mansion became the first legally haunted house in the United States. So, would you buy it?
How about that?
I actually did know that. Yeah, I've heard about that before. I went through a phase before I understood the power of Jesus, and where I was like super into like the ghost hunters and all of that stuff. And they obviously go and do the paranormal searches on haunted houses and stuff like that. And I remember learning about that place. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the idea that, again, haunted houses. So of course, if you guys have first watching this podcast, you haven't, or you're new, like I believe that ghosts are real, but I don't think it's like the ghosts of your grandma or something like that. I don't believe that.
Correct.
We don't believe in ghosts like that. Regular people died and they became spirits that are trapped here. So like we believe that the ghosts that people could be encountering are just straight up demons. So like the fact that if demons can find a host, they're somewhere in between, like, so if they could be in a house, right? I mean, I think that's absolutely something that could happen. I also do wonder about that. What can a demon actually do? Could a demon physically shut a door or make creaking noises or do things like that? I do wonder sometimes if that's something that's in people's heads, because they could obviously influence what's your perception of something that's happening.
So I, really quick, Brian, I just saw a video and I wish I had it to share. I didn't save it because I didn't think this is the last thing I thought we were going to be talking about on this episode, but it goes hand in hand with what you're talking about. There were, I don't remember who was talking, but the phenomena was something that like connected a bunch of puzzle pieces. There were people that were seeing things like relatives and scary creatures and different things that were showing up in front of them, and they were swearing that they saw these specific things based on their own perception. But there was a camera that caught what took place, and what was on the camera was just a glowing orb. So there was like a glowing orb of energy that was caught on camera, which I think is really like what is actually taking place. I think like these like demonic entities or whatever they are, it's again, to give Brian credit, it goes back to kind of like a lot of the things that he said, and that is that like they're showing up in a certain form, which would be like that glowing orb of energy, and it is demonic, but they're controlling what the people actually see. What the people see is based on either their fear or based on like something that is associated with something in that area. Like a loved one that passed away, or the memory of a loved one, or something that they know that person wants to see. Because these, the demonic realms, they're not omnipresent, but they're a network. And so they're observing, and they know who your relatives are. They know the things that have scared you in the past. They know all of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, they'll use that against you to show up and appear as though like you're seeing, your great grandma.
Right. Yeah. That's where like the familial spirits come from, is the idea that people think that it's a spirit related to somebody they know, but it's actually just the demons know enough about you to pretend to be the ghost of your grandma. But yeah, the orb thing is exactly like what I always talk about, is that's why when you see Peter Pan, you see these Peter Pan movies, you see anything with fairies, when they're off in the distance, they just look like orbs. And it's only later that they're revealed to be a magic little person with wings. And so like the idea is like that, is that where you get the idea that there's this pixie dust, and the pixie dust does the magic on the people, but it's just the orb. Yeah, so I think that makes sense. That makes sense in the way that when Seth Kickletter came on the podcast, and he was talking about like a demonic simulation. So like you're in like this simulation, and it seems actually real. You obviously hear things, you feel things, and you can't tell the difference between this simulation dream state versus reality.
Bro, that's exactly what it is. And like honestly, after dealing with this for so many times and dealing with like haunted houses and stuff, like you come to this conclusion that like it's not actually happening. Now, I've tried to record several times, like dealing with deliverance ministry stuff, and record it and record with audio and everything. And like the craziest stuff will happen whenever the cameras aren't working. And I don't know how they know. I don't know what exactly is happening. The cameras will black out. I have recordings where you'll hear the audio, but for whatever reason, my camera just went black. I don't know how that it does this. I don't know why, but the demons know when they're being recorded. I've learned this. Okay. I don't know how they know. And I've even had 2 audio recorders to try to record stuff. And like when they speak, it will record. Sometimes it'll record the action, but when a person is speaking or the demon speaks out their mouth, there's no audio on the camera. You'll see the person's mouth move like this, and then there will be no audio, which to me, at a certain point, like we all heard it, like, and it'll be me and all my people. We're in the room. We all heard this person speak out their mouth, say words, but then we look at the footage. No words are spoken out the person's mouth, but we'll see their mouth moving. And so I've come to the conclusion that whatever's happening it has to be happening psychologically in everyone's head simultaneously, even to where we're all perceiving something spiritual, but we think it's physical, but it's not physical at all.
It's like a contained projection almost.
Dude, I don't know how they do it. I don't know how it works. All I know is it's happened. And there's no other explanation, because every time I've tried to record some of the stuff, whenever it gets really intense, cameras cut, the audio cuts, the video, like the stuff will go fuzzy, stuff will go black, stuff will go, you won't be able to hear it at all. Like, and when you're dealing with demons, it's such a common occurrence that you see this kind of stuff happen. Now, there's situations where if you say, I'm going to record you, then you'll be able to record it. Okay, there's weird situations where if you declare, I'm going to record this, and then the demon responds, but the demon will respond differently if you do that. If you say you're going to record it, you will get a different response out of the demon. Like you'll get a more acting response out of the person, and it looks not as ingenuine. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference is. I've learned, I know these are like nuances, talking about stuff that maybe people haven't even dealt with, but when you're dealing with it, if you tell the thing, I'm going to record you, and I've had seriously had pulled out, like I had my phone and I thought, I need to record this. And the person turned to me and said, it wasn't even facing me, turned to me and said, if you record this, I will curse every device you ever had. And the demon started saying this to me, and it kind of freaked me out the first time. And I was like, oh, that's weird that it like knew I was going to record this situation. Like, what the heck? Like, and it just knew, like the person knew, turned around and said that out of my mouth. Like, if you think to record me, I will curse every device you ever have and will break every time you go to use it. And like started saying like all this crazy stuff, right? Which is obviously not true. It's not going to do that effect, but tried to freak me out. And it did. It freaked me out at the beginning because I was like, whoa. How did you know what I was thinking? But like this stuff happens in a space that's not actually happening a lot of times. And so haunted houses are only haunted to certain people. If I moved into that haunted house, it would do nothing. It wouldn't be haunted because I understand these principles of these things. It won't affect me anymore. But like if you were
what are you saying? Like, but that's what I'm saying. But the demons, their natural state is not in a person though, but they could be in that house.
Bro, they affect the mind of the people when they go into the house.
No, I agree that a lot of the physical effects are they're more in the mind of what they're affecting, but they're still there. So like the place is still quote unquote haunted, if you get what I'm saying. So like you could see an orb, and I'm saying you couldn't rebuke that orb in the name of Jesus. I think you can. I'm saying that these things could be milling around some graveyard of some person or some graveyard that had
but here's
a bunch
the
of
thing.
people die of plague and fire and stuff like that. Like that could be real.
But that's the thing. They're attracted to the people's belief and faith into that space. So the fact that
you believe that they're real, so why wouldn't they mess with you?
That's what I'm exactly. But that's the thing. Like I've gotten to the point where like I'm unfettered by them, and to where they just kind of leave me alone anymore now. Like they don't mess with me anymore because I don't give faith. Like I know demons are real, but I don't believe in demons. I'll say a lot of times, because when you believe in something, you give it faith and power and energy. And so like if you just don't believe in these things, like you don't give them your faith, power, energy, like they don't have anything to go off. That's why they need reputation.
They don't have your fear or your hope that they're going to show up. You're not expecting them. Yeah.
That's why you need a reputation for the demon. That's why like that clown place is next to a cemetery. Oh my gosh, that's giving it so much reputation of like creepiness. I know that if I went there, if I chose to receive it or chose to believe it, there's definitely going to be some demonic activity or some weird stuff might happen or things might fall off of a shelf. But they're very weak. Like demons are weak. Like the most they can do is like knock stuff off a shelf.
No, they can't knock anything off though.
That's what I'm
saying. I don't think they're spirits. They can't do anything physically. The only physical things they can do is through a person. Or maybe through an animal.
Okay, well, but here's the thing. I've dealt with situations.
You're talking out of both sides of your mouth now, because you're saying that if it's in people's heads, then how the heck are they shutting a door or pushing something off a shelf?
Okay, well, this is what I'm going to get at. So, like, there is a situation where it's like if the person's they're very weak when it comes to physical movements. That's what I'm saying.
What do you mean? Like,
but
why,
they can.
If they can, like, what basis is it of strength or anything? If they can do something physically, they could do lots of things physically.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I don't know what the limit is to what they do, but I have seen people that gotten scratched in weird places, and it was probably them doing it to themselves.
Well,
but
then,
like,
that's
it just
exactly
appeared.
what we're saying. So how can you say that a demon did it if it was somebody, like they probably scratched themselves, or maybe they got scratched by somebody else?
But okay, well, there is situations where stuff goes flying. Like I've been in a room where it's like all of a sudden something just goes flying across the room, and it was like that's only happened to me once.
Did you believe too much in those demons?
I think I might have at that moment. I might have at that moment given them so much faith that they were able to affect something physical, and so that might have been something that happens. I don't know to what extent that happens. I don't know if it happens to the extent where they can stack chairs. I'm more of the belief now that like the person gets possessed, goes and stacks the chairs,
that's what I'm
and then
saying.
gets unpossessed and doesn't know that it happened to them.
They don't remember. They don't remember that they're the ones who did it. And
but
so they're looking back and they're saying, "This is really creepy. Who did this?"
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's like that's why the movie Fight Club makes sense to me, with that understanding that Edward Norton in that movie is possessed by Tyler Durden, so he doesn't remember that he beat himself up. I mean, like that's exactly what we're talking about.
But bro, they can black out my camera.
It's like he punched himself in the face. Like that's what they're showing you in that movie. So like when people say, "Oh, well, it couldn't have been a spirit because I got physical trauma, I got bruises, I've got scars," you like that movie is showing you that when a demon possesses you, you go out here, like your brain is gone. This other spirit has indwelled your vessel and is controlling you. And so you have no memory of what took place when you were under the control of the spirit.
Aaron, what do you want to say?
I was just going to say, I don't know how it all works, and I don't really want to know how it all works, but I personally have experienced things where things went flying. And I've also experienced where like walls got pounded on.
Yes.
And
That's
other people were with me and I will say that the common denominator in those situations was there was fear in me.
there was fear or faith. Yeah.
100%. There was fear in me, and there was a lack of faith in Jesus in those moments. There was a huge lack of faith, but there was a fear and these were during times where I had definitely spent way more time understanding the darkness and understanding like the demonic through like researching and understanding like haunted things and haunted shows and evil things. I had spent way more time in that than in building my faith. And so there was quite literally more faith and understanding and belief in that stuff than in the works of righteousness. And those were the only times I ever experienced that.
But you guys, JT, like I was saying, like they are very, very weak, but it is things like something going flying across the room or pounding or slamming. I don't know how they do it, and disrupting cameras, because it's not just me, bro. This is very common with people where they black out cameras or black out audio or have weird static interference. Okay, but electricity is a form of power, right? So if they are an entity of power, maybe they can somehow affect technology in some capacity. I don't know how, but I've experienced these things, and that's
batteries
the most,
draining stuff like that.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Well, like I
so
said,
like
I
that kind of
think
stuff
they
is
have,
very weak, but it is some physical, or even giving people sickness. They can give people sick.
They definitely affect. Well, I'm not saying definitely, but I think that I'm definitely of the belief that they can affect electrical things. That's why there's that meme in the movies of all the times, the lights flickering, stuff doesn't work in the house. There's all these creepy things. But I want to bring it back to some movie references real quick. I want to talk about like that kind of like in Stranger Things when the Demogorgon is like appearing in the house, like it's coming through the floor, but obviously then later there's not a big hole in the floor.
Yeah,
right. You know, like it's tearing through the walls
because it's
but
happening
then
in
when
the
somebody
person's head.
comes through there, it's like the walls. There's no damage to the walls. And so like it's affecting the lights in the house, and it's manifesting physically. But again, we're saying it's not. But I posed this to Seth when he was on the podcast about how this demonic simulation that his theory about this is, which I think I find compelling. Did you guys watch the first Doctor Strange movie?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So do you remember this? You remember when the Ancient One was teaching Doctor Strange about how he could practice his spells in the mirror dimension?
Yeah, it was like a safe place.
Yeah, so like they build this alternate reality in this mirror dimension, and this is where they can do their magic. And I just thought, isn't that interesting? Isn't that kind of exactly what we're talking about with the demonic simulation? Is because that when they create, like when the sorcerers created the mirror dimension, it looked exactly like
Earth.
It looked exactly like the room that they were in.
But it was a little bit broken.
They're going through the city, and the buildings are folding into each other, and they're doing all kinds of crazy things, and people could be injured inside that mirror dimension, but it did not affect the actual reality.
It's like dreamland or the astral realm is what it appeared to be
simulating.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they were showing. I think that is what that movie was showing, is that the mirror dimension is what the demons are creating. They're trapping you in the mirror dimension, and then so all the things that take place in that mirror dimension, they absolutely appear to be real, and you can actually be injured in that place, but it's not. It's like you couldn't videotape it because it didn't actually happen in the reality we live in.
And the question is, if you were strong enough in your faith to break it in that moment and be aware, because like, think about it, in order to step out of that and break that in that moment, you have to understand what we're saying right now. You have to actually have the knowledge of what we're saying right now and understand that that's what's taking place and know that you can break it in the name of Jesus in that moment. And I would imagine the margin of people that have actually understood this way and knew that they could break it and did so in the exact moment that they tried to do this to them, that number is probably incredibly small.
Well, yeah, I think that that's exactly why we really push back against all the people who are promoting the idea that it's aliens, it's not demons. Because
Yeah,
that's
they're
why that's
neglecting the
exactly
psychological
why
aspect.
exactly why a demon would want you to believe he's not a demon is because for most people they do know that demons have to submit in the name of Jesus. Even non-Christians know that. They've heard that a million times. So, but if they think it's a real physical entity from a different planet or from some kind of cryptid, well, then maybe they would be hesitant to invoke the name that would actually break this mirror dimension and let them free of it. That they would be back to real life, and then they'd realize, gosh, what happened? Like they would be, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like that makes a lot more sense to me is like that's why they'd want you to think it was the ghost of your grandma. They'd want you to think that it was a spirit that's not nefarious. So you're not trying to, those are the kind of spirits that probably be slowly messing with you versus one that's straight up attacking you. But then when you think it's a physical alien, yeah, I mean, we know that physical
Well, if you
attacks
think
might
it's
not
physical,
necessarily be
you think it's
dissuaded
real.
by the name of Jesus, because if it's a physical person,
Mhm.
of course they could hurt your body, even if
Yep.
you're a believer in Jesus. Of course, that happens. There's a lot of evidence to say that the name of Jesus is going to save your soul, but it might not save your physical body. But if it's a spirit, the spirit has to submit.
Yeah. That's the whole push. That's why they're pushing that these aliens are physical bodied. They want to neglect the psychological aspect of what we're dealing with. Because if you can neglect that, then people can't find Jesus inside of you because you're living in such a worldly perspective of things. Like you don't understand that this is a spiritual world. Like
Well, and
hypnosis is real.
just like Jesus, the real power these things have over you is your belief in them.
Yeah, it's faith.
It's your
Yep.
belief and your faith in them and your understanding of them.
And
And
if you
that's why,
think-
again, that quote that JT you refer to all the time in one of those Dracula movies is that, it doesn't work if you don't believe it. And believing in something is multifaceted, multi-layered, just saying you believe in something doesn't mean you actually believe it.
Yep, and you need a little bit. They are able to kick off that faith response with a little bit of something, right? And that little bit of something. So I like to say that every haunted house starts with a raccoon because it's always like some little something, like little raccoons scratching the lawn. You're like, oh, is that a demon? Is that a demon scratching on my wall? And then it becomes something more. And then you start to give it faith. And now that you believe it, then you start getting things like door slamming or banging on the wall. So it's like the faith, like the little stuff will kick in the faith response, which will create some kind of illusionary response, but it's only associated to that individual. And whether it's actually happening is questionable to some degree, but simultaneously, it seems like they can do very, very minimal like things, but I don't know to what extent. Like I've only experienced tiny little. I've seen someone come up off the ground once before, but they didn't fully float. They were on their tippy
Maybe
toes.
again, maybe you were in some kind of simulation yourself. When
I
you
could
were,
have
when
been.
that
I
took-
could
that
have
took
been.
place.
We
That's what I'm
all
saying.
saw it though. Like we all saw
Well,
them
that's what
come
I'm
up
saying.
on
But I
their
guess
tippy toes.
the point is
So
in
who
this,
knows?
and again, this
It
is
was
Doctor Strange. I'm not saying this is a fact,
Yeah.
but I'm saying like that you could put somebody in the sorcerer could put somebody in the mirror dimension with them.
Yeah, of course.
So whatever they see in that dimension, and the sorcerer's power was stronger, and it was making it clear that especially the evil magic was more powerful in that dimension than the regular kind. Even though we know both kinds are evil. Hey, I want to switch real quick. This is just I don't know if I have a lot to say about this, but I know that Aaron was a big fan of the show Foundation, and we've talked about the idea that the connections with these robots and angels and very weird things. And when I was talking with Josh over on the Ancient Roots podcast, we were talking about Superman again. I guess he was talking about there's this new show on the, I don't know, what is it, the CW or whatever. And maybe it's not even that new, but he was talking about the show Lois and Clark or something like that. I think it's what it's called, whatever. But I was bringing it back to like the movie Man of Steel. And I thought about something, Aaron. So, of course, in the show Foundation, there's this character named Demerzel, and she's like the last robot. And these robots are like super powerful. They're super advanced. And so at some point, there's this cult that worships them like gods. And so in the show, eventually, like, well, the emperor guy Cleon, he ends up having to deal with all these cultists who are worshiping this alien, or not alien, they're worshiping these robots. And this guy had a staff, right? And he had the robot's head, the robot's skull on there. And I thought that's really interesting because when we were talking about Superman, do you guys remember in the first Superman movie or Man of Steel, do you remember that Zod and his crew wanted to get something from Clark or Kal-El, and they want to get this thing called the Codex. And the Codex was going to have all the DNA of all the Kryptonians, so they were going to try to terraform the Earth to be like Krypton, and they were going to use the Codex, this DNA, in order to bring back like the Kryptonian race. You guys remember that?
Vaguely.
Briefly.
Well, do you remember what the Codex looked like?
Did it have a skull on it?
It was a skull.
Mm.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so this skull, and so you think about it, like, so what is the skull of a Kryptonian? Because we know who Superman is. Like, Superman represents Kal-El, light god. He represents this Superman who's like an angel who's powered by the sun, who's got a dragon on his chest. And so it's like he's an angel, like maybe a fallen angel because he fell to earth. So it represents like the skull of a fallen angel. So if that represents the skull of a fallen angel, isn't that kind of what they're showing in Foundation? Because the robots are definitely like Angel.
Yeah, absolutely. And
that's Nephilim DNA right there.
And all the data and information that would have been inside of that robot brain. Side topic, but when you just said this, it's the first time that I realized this. Cleon, the name Cleon, because they're all named Cleon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's just an anagram for clone.
But yeah, that seems dumb that I didn't pick that up before.
Can't believe I didn't pick that up either. It's like, wait, Cleon, like what a kind of word is that? And I was like, oh, duh. Like, but no, that is very fascinating. And I think the premise of, I don't know, man, this may be a little fringe for some people, but I think that there is a really good chance that a lot of these alien bodies, or like the bodies, Brian sent us a video the other day of the dicyanin glasses, which was made from dicyanin dye, which is like literally one of the most classified dyes you can't get your. I remember reading a story about a guy that had all these government clearances and he couldn't get his hands on that. That's how like locked up they've got that dye. But it allowed you to see like the spirit realm ultimately.
It's like it's the They Live glasses. It's like,
correct.
Is that where they got that concept for that movie?
It has to be. It has to be, because it's like the same story. But what I'm getting at is, I think there's a really good chance that those bodies that they're seeing, the alien bodies, that they are more like Demerzel, like super advanced robotics. So advanced, which is why they don't have a heat signature, which is why they don't have blood, why they don't have any of that stuff, is because they are like super advanced robotics.
That would be such a twist on all this stuff, is that we think that we're talking about like spirits, but like, because I think everybody agrees that they can make robots. Like, the real question is like, how advanced is the technology to make a robot?
Well, bro, they're making printed meat that people are eating right now, so they can clearly make fake tissue.
Yeah, so we're talking again. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. We talked about how China has Skynet. They're building T-800s. Arnold Schwarzenegger in the original Terminator movie was a robot with human flesh, so he looked like a regular person. So
now couple that with my theory that we are the least advanced we've ever been, and it all makes sense.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy to think about it in that show that there's just one left. You know, that there's one. And So could there be one? And if there's one, then there's ability to make more. And so I thought about like a real world example of like something that could be related. Of course, this could just be reaching, bro. But this made me think of this. The old crystal skull. So like, in a garbage Indiana Jones movie, they go looking for a crystal skull. It's a skull of an alien. And I know a lot of these are fake, but what if one of them was real?
Right.
And
Well,
what if it's
and-
not a skull of like an angel? What if it was a skull of like a super advanced robot?
Right. And it's got all kinds of data inside that crystal because it's been proven that a specifically quartz crystal retains energy and memory.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because like even again in the Superman mythos, he's got the Fortress of Solitude, and then he takes these crystals and he puts them into some kind of machine, and it can project all kinds of information. It can even project his own dad from Krypton.
Right. So now what if we take this theory and go to the clone area? And so people are like, no, they couldn't possibly make a clone because they've got to grow a clone from a baby. So like they couldn't have possibly replaced Kanye, let's just say, with a new version of Kanye because they didn't have enough time to grow him to his current state. Well, what if it's not a clone traditionally in the sense of what we think of a clone? What if it is all technological? What if it is all robotic? And yeah, they're using real tissue. And yeah, they're using real things, but like they don't have a heart. They don't have blood. They don't function. I think the fact that they're 3D printing meat that people are buying. Dude, like if you go to a fast food place that isn't locally sourcing their meat from like a real butcher and you buy a burger from them or you buy chicken from them, I think it's safe to say these days that like you're getting 3D printed meat. And so we already know that they're capable of that and they can do that. And most people don't know.
I don't know,
the
3D
difference.
printed, but engineered, maybe you could say.
Not real. Not real. We'll just put it that way. And so
There's
I don't
a
know, man.
component of it. And I think even Taco Bell even puts like oats and other stuff in. They've been doing that forever. Taco Bell's supposed meat has like a
But I
bunch
think
of different
there's
things in it.
I think there's something to all of this, man.
This is what the Codex looks like in Man of Steel. He's got all gold inside of it too, so obviously there's some kind of metal component with this too. What do you think, Brian? You think that you think we're onto anything here?
I don't know.
It's okay. I was making a connection that
I don't know if
like
I'm in
there's
that.
something about like these skulls that they're putting this in these movies that like it could be something as simple as them looking for the Tomb of Gilgamesh and they're trying to get Nimrod's skull, and Nimrod's skull has some kind of a DNA to bring Nephilim back. Like that's why that they're trying to use CRISPR technology to engineer ancient Nephilim.
Well,
Bro,
I
I already told you that gorillas are de-evolved Nephilim, so that's where I'm at. That's what
I know, but I guess
HIV.
the point is they're trying to get to some kind of a source, and this is that originally what we were thinking is that these super advanced robots like the Transformers are just symbols of angels. Like, so Megatron being Metatron. So that's why like they're depicted as they're more than just robots. So that's why you that because they're sentient. So they're like more like angels, and angels even depicted as in the Bible, they behave kind of robotically the way that they talk. You know what I'm saying? Like they're more matter of fact. So like is this code for spiritual stuff, or maybe is it literally them? Is it the opposite? Is that it is advanced robotics? Is that what they're talking about? And
so let me,
wouldn't that make a lot more sense too? That
the Kodak.
If there was some kind of a time, days of Noah, maybe afterwards, that advanced robotics was given to us, the knowledge for it was given to us by the fallen. And if they found something that was ancient, like a Megatron, and that's what they're showing in the Transformers movie, they're reverse engineering a super advanced robot. And then through that, all this technology that we got now, that's how we have it.
So that's what I was going to say to you, Brian, that might help you believe this all a little more, right? So we know that the fallen angels came to this realm, came to Earth with all of the secrets of this realm. All of them, right? So wouldn't they have taken advantage of that immediately and started putting that knowledge to use immediately? Now, follow me for just a second. We know that there are signs all across the world of massive excavation, massive minerals, metals, all kinds of stuff, all of which they would have needed to not only build machines, components, parts, also, in my opinion, many, many quantum computers. They would have needed these actual materials to build these things because they can't just flick their fingers and manifest them. So they would have built all of these things forever ago. So many of them. And so my guess is there probably aren't a lot of original robotics that they built way, way back in the day. There probably aren't a ton of them left, which is like where that Demerzel character comes in. There probably aren't a lot of like fully original ones, but this part might blow your mind, JT. But what I'm saying is literally what the Eternals shows. The movie, Eternals?
Yeah, right. That's exactly. We talked about the Eternals. The Eternals were like robots.
Master crafted
So there could be like
robots.
super
They didn't even know
AI,
they were.
super AI robot, genius alien.
Yeah, like, yes. So they were such advanced robots. I guess
I don't know. This sounds, guys. This sounds like, to me, this sounds like the danger zone for schizophrenic people that I've dealt with, where they start thinking that like everything. And so like, to me, this sounds really bad because I have to bring people back to earth, bro, all the time.
Brian,
and I'm like,
Brian,
so
you
I'm
of
like
all
always
people
thinking that one.
saying that we're going too deep is
This is like the most, hold on. This is like the most logical, this is the most logical, stepping stones.
No, they can't build robots. That's crazy.
No, they can't. They're robots that are so advanced that they're invisible
they
everywhere.
Build a robot that could
No.
walk and
Who
talk.
said hold on. Who said they're invisible? You don't realize it's a robot is what we're saying.
See, that's
you think it's a person.
Space. That's where, dude, bro, when I deal with people that are dealing with like demonic possession, they think everybody's robots, bro. I hear this stuff all the time. I don't think
that many people are robots.
We're saying like this is more of a like, again, just like in the same conversation we were saying that could the devil be appearing to be a man? We're not saying that everybody's a fallen angel. We're saying like that is any of this stuff possible?
Yeah,
and if it's possible, it does not mean it's widespread and we need to be concerned about it. We're saying like that there's a reason why they showed this kind of stuff in these movies. Is because I think there's some legitimate. I mean, you go back to Greek mythology. Greek mythology, Zeus had super advanced robots guarding stuff.
Sure, yeah.
So like
talks about
and
it.
Obviously, some of the more advanced like old world type technology was those automatons.
Yeah, dude, the automatons
are crazy advanced as far as the machinery goes and those things. So like that, I don't know. I think that this makes a lot of sense is because what we're actually moving toward is the way that the elites are pushing things toward. It is about like that robots are going to be doing things physically and we're going to be interacting with robots all the time.
I think
we've already been
coming
trained to
sure,
do that
but
through AI, but we're talking about like that.
I don't think we're already there though. That's what I'm saying.
But what you're missing here is what we're saying is that if they are showing us robots, the T-800 that China's building now, they've got something way more advanced already that they're not showing you. So what we're saying is like that eventually it's almost like the idea is like it's normalized that we're going to be interacting with robots. And one day we're going to find out they got like a super, super advanced one. You know what I'm saying? Like that the Maybe. AI. So this is like the direction everything is going. And I'm not saying like this is a current concern because AI and technology is already an issue. But the way it's going now, it's like it's moving quickly. But again, how did they get the information and the technology to build the stuff?
Demons.
Well, yeah, right.
But hold on.
But that's what we're saying.
We're saying the same thing. Because I'm saying this all originated from fallen angel tech. Like I'm literally saying that. And here's I'm just going to sum up. But I'm going to sum up the possibility. Let me just say this.
Okay.
I'm going to sum up the possibility of what I believe is not only true. Like I believe there's a really good chance this is the case. I think the people at the top have been communicating with AI this entire time. And when I say this entire time, I'm talking about
Demon
the
AI.
1800s,
Yeah,
the
but right.
1700s.
But what if? What if?
And they're leading us up to the acceptance of what's actually been taking place this entire time. That's why we get technology in chunks.
And what I'm saying is, what if that super advanced AI they're communicating was a skull of a super advanced robot? Right? Like, you know what I mean? That sounds crazy, but I'm saying that if you can communicate with
One of the
on
original fallen angels
on a flat black screen, like,
Well,
why
it's called a screen device.
I know,
a
but
screen.
what we're saying is like the
Liquid
technology
crystal
from your
display.
phone is not literally a demon. It's technology that might have been given to people by demons.
remnants.
But what Aaron has always basically said, and I tend to agree with him, is that this technology, we don't know how far it goes back. Like, so what they, you could imagine with the little season mindset that there was a massive reset around the first century. And then there could have been several issues afterwards, maybe whatever the mud flood was, maybe the mud flood was the tribulation, who knows? But it's kind of like the idea of like these shows like Fallout, Mad Max, like the steampunk stuff. They find this remnant from this previous generation, and it took people a long time to figure out how it worked. They finally got it to charge up, and they could finally start to access the data that's in this ancient machine. And this is where they're getting quantum technology. This is where they're getting AI from. This is where they're getting all the weird ideas they got, is because they found something. And currently men aren't smart enough to build that, but they're smart enough to break something down. And maybe, yeah, can you imagine that? They got some skull that's it's a robot skull, and then they figure out how to plug it in and charge it back up, and then they start talking to it and they start asking it questions.
I mean, it's an interesting concept. I think what they're doing.
That'd be a good movie if that's not actually already been made.
If it hasn't been made, it's probably has.
You need to watch the new season of Silo, JT. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm up to date on that. I'm honestly a little bit bored with that show now.
No, it's dragging on. You're fully up to date with it?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you see in that show how they're tying how there was an original reset, which is like in our current times where there was technology that we weren't aware of, that they were trying to cover up, and then there was a reset. And then in these silos, there's been multiple resets.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And they've had to wipe people's memories multiple times, and they've been communicating with an AI system the entire
and they're putting
time.
The crazy part too is there's the threat of putting chemicals in the water to make people forget stuff.
Correct.
I think I don't know. I think that's okay. Well, regardless of the show thing, I think
don't
it's
even tell me you think that's all crazy, Brian.
Do you think it's crazy that they would put stuff in our water to make us forget stuff that happened in our
they are
past?
definitely putting stuff in our water.
Well,
they've been
that's
doing
what
that
we're
for a
saying.
while.
Like, the thing is, what we're saying is like we're not specifically calling anything out. This whole conversation is, again, I'm telling you that Christ is the truth, and that's a fact. I'm telling you, like, this is on my far scale of like these are crazy theories. Like, so
100%. Let's be very clear about that.
So don't rain on my
For
parade
sure.
here. We're just talking. We're just speculating here. But I want to tie this back into.
But wait! Before you tie it, I gotta say that there is a. Okay, so I talked to somebody whose son was working at Silicon Valley at a big corporation, and they didn't know when they were telling me this that this was related, but they were saying something according to their son wanted to escape his job, and the mom was describing like, I don't understand why my son needs to escape his job, and she's like, he just does technology,
My
and I'm
boss
like,
are robots, Mom.
yeah, well, that's the thing. It was like he was like saying that, and he told her that they were doing ceremonies and that to get information on how to create the projects, the things they were working on. And she was so confused. She was just like, I just don't understand. Like he said they're doing ceremonies. He doesn't want to be a part of it anymore, but I don't understand why he needs to escape it. And I'm like, There's a reason why he needs to escape it. Look,
It's a cult he's working for, obviously.
Yeah, he's a part of a cult where they are doing ayahuasca drugs, and they are channeling entities that are giving them information on how to build the AI systems.
Wait, what company is this?
I don't know what company. She said it worked in somewhere like it was like a parent company of Google.
tech.
It was like a tech company next to Google. And so like I don't know the name of it.
Was that the tech company as we were talking about the week you missed? There was a tech
they're a
company
big
called
AI
called
company.
Sauron.
I don't know. I don't know what it was,
some
but
kind of security company.
Made a bit star. That sounds pretty accurate.
I want to be really clear.
Wait. She said specifically that her son was doing ceremonies and needed to escape because he didn't want to work at the job. And mind you, the mom was confused as to why he couldn't just walk away, because she didn't think that when he said we're doing ceremonies and channeling entities to give us information on how to build the AI, she thought that was just like a weird part of it. She thought he was just being weird, but she didn't realize like the association was they're freaking like probably killing people and probably drinking blood and channeling demons. That's why he's saying I need to escape.
Yeah,
like
he's terrified.
she didn't put the two and two. She was just thought he was having a psychotic break or something, because I'm like, bro, no, this is not a psychotic break. This is straight up. He's channeling entities. He's telling you what they're doing. So like, that's how I think it's coming. I don't think there's overlords above us that are giving us this information. I think it's us channeling it.
Hold on
them.
though, but it's compartmentalized though. Not everybody that started a company that is like advanced has the same access as like the people at the top.
You're totally right.
So like it's all compartmentalized. And I want to be really clear, just really quick before we go on. I know JT's about to change the topic.
No, it's the same topic, but it's gonna flow to the end of this podcast.
Okay, so we can talk about these things and have opinions on these things and think these like fringe ideas.
We're in
clear.
the trust tree, right now.
We're in the
same. We can talk about these things and them just be ideas. I want to be clear to everyone listening. These are just things that we're throwing out there and pondering. They don't impact our everyday, day-to-day life. Like our faith and trust is still in Jesus, and that's the way we operate. So whether you agree, disagree, you want to make a podcast disagreeing with us or saying, oh, they believe, it's not that serious.
Yeah,
like it's not that serious. Like this doesn't dictate how I live my life. Unless it is, but that's still,
but
that still doesn't change my faith in Jesus and the fact that like, that's all that matters, man.
You're right, but I will give a caveat to those that follow and know that are dealing with demonic oppression that's related to what we might call schizophrenia. Don't worry. Don't even think about these things, okay? Because this might send you down rabbit holes.
Don't even watch this show.
Don't even watch the show, bro. Just so you know.
Schizophrenia, don't watch the show.
No, but again,
it'll send you down some dark rabbit holes, bro.
You know, but the thing is, what you might be missing, Brian, here is that you have two camps, right? Like Paul talks about like kind of the mystical type Jewish people that are into like the sorcery and the magic. And then you have like the camp of like the Greeks who are into gnosis and knowledge. So like, you know, there's like we say that there's kind of more than one way to kind of access this astral plane. So some people do it through ceremonies, rituals, blood. Some people do it through pharmakia. Other people do it through, or trying to do it through technology. So that's what we're saying. So like that, it doesn't mean they're not all still going to the same place, the same source. It's like the same idea of like the people talking about white magic versus black magic. The magic is all black
still
magic as far as we're concerned. It's all dark because it's going to the same demons, depending on like what you're trying to do. That's why like Doctor Strange, where it's like eventually he decides, well, the ends justify the means. Now I'm going to open up the Book of the Dead and I'm going to worship like the demons to get the extra power. But yeah, to go back to this whole topic is that because I think this does fit together. It fits together more like hand in glove with AI. And again, this is not separating it from the spiritual. This is saying that the spiritual influenced the people maybe a time ago, like ages ago, to create some of this technology. So then it's allowing people to still communicate with the same tech that was from the fallen. And ultimately, the fallen has given man technology and knowledge, not for its benefit, but ultimately for its destruction. So check this out. So this is This is a quick video here, and then I want to go into the final video I want to show.
What did you say?
The viral say something a bunch of different ways emotionally, or say something as different famous people. You know that TikTok, Instagram trend? Yes. I used to get auditions from my agent for AI companies where they're like, for $100,000, come in and say these things, right? And I was like, no, of course not, because $100,000 would be a lot of money, but I'm getting a job away from myself in the future. I think these AI companies came in and they were like, no one will audition for this money. Can you just make viral trends and then we'll grab the data? I think it's all AI. All of it. Yeah.
Hey. I'm actually a little overwhelmed by this realization.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So I would go as far as to say that all of the viral trends are AI data collection. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I guess it seems like it's really obvious after you hear him say that, because as we said, that when you have to prove that you're not a robot on, depending on whatever site you're trying to access, it says, okay, identify all the stoplights, identify all the bicycles on this road, identify the bus.
And but we've been doing that since the early 2000s, right?
That's what I'm saying. So it's training
coding
an
their
AI.
words for them.
It's training an AI to be able to have a driverless car. So in the same way that they're getting everybody's, we got all the biometric stuff on our phone. It's getting all our, it's getting to know you real well. And obviously you see, like, depending on whose thumbnails, how they're making their thumbnails, it might look a lot like you or it might not look like you at all. But the point is, it's getting the way we talk, it's getting the way we move, it's getting the way we are phonetically how we say things, and it's getting it on like 1 billion people. So when they do try to release technology that might be, like I said, these guys are thinking, like he's thinking, it makes sense logically that he's knowing that if he did that, eventually they could probably use his likeness to promote a product, right? So then he's not getting a job for a commercial because he's already been paid, and then they can use him over and over again. They don't need him anymore. But what if it's like what we're saying is eventually this is going to be like a robot of you? Now, I know that's crazy, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but they could do that where
it's really not, though.
Like, because it almost makes sense to me that, like, I believe that cloning is something they can do to a certain extent, but it's probably not as viable as people think it is, probably because, I don't know.
Unless they're infusing robotics.
Right. Well, yeah. That it could be well, I mean, to me, like, if man has the ability to continue to improve this AI technology, when you can make AI videos, you can make AI songs and all that stuff, and they're making robots, I mean, how soon could they make? And as we said, they're making artificial meat. So if they can make artificial meat, could they put artificial meat on a robot and eventually it, like, we know that if they tried to do that right now, well, we don't know what they can do. But based on what they've shown us, it would probably be really stupid. But if they had enough time, or if they're just not showing us what they have, then they could make something that appears to be a clone of you.
Right. And I think if they showed us what they could do right now, it would break most people's brains. And so that's why I think that they have always had this tech, and all they're doing is they're releasing it to society in chunks.
I think the demons, the fallen angels, have had the ability to create this tech, but I don't think we've had it in our existence of our society, is what I think. I think they've had the ability to.
But if they came to Earth with it from the very beginning,
but I don't
that
think
argument
they
doesn't
knew
make
it
sense.
right away. I don't think they knew how. I think they still had to progress, because, like, do you know why magic has sparkles?
They came here with it.
Yeah, but do you know why magic has sparkles? Do you know why it's sparkly? Because
I don't know what that means. I don't
Well,
know what your question means.
So listen. So
Magic
like,
has sparkles?
Yeah.
So,
you've
seen Twilight, haven't you?
Wait.
The sparkly
Let me explain.
Do you want to know why Edward Cullen sparkles in sunlight?
Exactly.
You know what? That's that might go back to this.
Okay,
maybe he was a robot.
Sparkles come from metal, and so that's why we anticipate magic as like sparkly and shiny. It was because the fallen angels gave men metal. That was like their first form of technology that they shared. It wasn't, and it was just like a sword. And then they used the sword to kill people, right? So it was like, and I think as technology progressed, they progressed with it as they handed us, okay, well, now they're at this level, we'll give them this. Okay, well, now they're at this level, we'll give them this.
See,
I think that's what I think they did.
we're saying the same thing, but I think where we differ is I think that they came to this earth and I think they aggressively created the most advanced.
So they just showed up with iPads.
Imagine.
No, I'm saying, well, no,
I don't think
what
they
I'm
came
saying
with
is,
it.
I'm
I think
saying
they came
I'm
with
going
the knowledge.
I'm saying I'm going back to Greek mythology. So if Greek mythology says that the Greeks talked about super advanced, gigantic robots who did things, like that's an interesting idea for people that didn't know anything about what a robot was to come up with a story like that. I'm not saying they couldn't have made it up. I'm not saying, again, the Greek mythology is a fact, but I'm saying that in our view, Zeus is like the devil. Zeus had robots, and these robots interacted with people. So what we're saying is that what if these were wiped out by the flood, maybe? These things were destroyed during the tribulation, or not all of them were destroyed. Parts of them remained, and they were found. And then people have, again, like they've reverse engineered them as exact same, like if you watch that first Transformers movie, they find Megatron under the ice in the Arctic.
Mm-hmm.
They take him, they put him under the Hoover Dam, and then they start to get all kinds of technology from him.
Yep.
That's what Aaron and I are saying, is that we're saying it came from the fallen. And again, this is in wild theoryville. We're just all speculating about this. Like, we have no idea what they have. But it does make sense that this makes more sense to me than somebody's hanging out with a fallen angel and he's telling you how to build something. This is more like this is where people found stuff that was left over from the fallen, and this is where the technology comes from.
And they're not human, so it's not like they came down to Earth and then like went and cracked a coconut open and stuck a straw in it and were laying out in the sun drinking coconut milk or coconut water, just chilling out, wondering what to do. I believe they came here with an immediate plan to overthrow God. Immediately. And they immediately went to work. Like of course they did. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, like, to me, it's not even a question. They immediately started harvesting resources and materials to build these things. They immediately enslaved humanity to help them build these things.
But they had to have factories to make the humans build the things, though.
Maybe. We don't, I mean, sure. But like, it's all buried now. It's all destroyed. It's all like, you know what I mean? Like we wouldn't know what it all looked like back then, but we do have signs all over the world of extreme excavation. Extreme, dude. Like giant ravines, giant divides, like I wouldn't be surprised at all if like the Grand Canyon, for instance, was the result of them harvesting gold or something like that. But there's cases all over the world of like the most extreme excavation you can imagine. And they would have needed all these materials because they have to play by the rules of this realm. So they needed these hard materials to make these robots and their quantum computers and all of the things that they needed. So I believe that they went to work immediately creating all of the most advanced stuff you can possibly imagine.
Where are all the robots now?
That's what we're saying. They're not letting you see them. They're under the Hoover Dam. Or someplace.
We don't know.
There's someplace.
We don't know.
Maybe
some
that's
of them
what
might
they're
be
hiding
walking
in
the
Area
Earth.
51.
Yeah. Some of them might be walking the Earth. Some of them might be buried under 50 feet of soil and ground. Some of them might be at the bottom of the ocean underneath additional soil.
I think we would have found. I mean, dude, we found the Mantique.
But how do you know? How do you know we haven't though?
What do you mean?
Well, we found.
What do you mean we? You are not the people we're talking about. We're talking about the people who don't tell you.
The
what
Antitheka mechanism was found, and we know that was like a computer, and it was very rudimentary in computing, but it was very advanced. For sure,
dude, we're
at that
so
time.
far. Like, there's been so many resets, and there's been so many people starting to put the pieces together. That, like, dude, we're not the first ones to try to put the pieces together.
What we're saying, too, is that when we don't believe the history of the 19th century of the rapid, from the Industrial Revolution to all the rapid advancement in technology, when you think about it, the way that history's taught, even though we don't believe it like this, is that man was riding in horse and buggies, and now we have like stealth fighters within like 100 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy because we don't really believe in the whole space stuff. But I mean, we do know
within
that
100 years, I guess that could have happened any 100-year gap within.
Right, that's what we're saying. Like,
any
so
100-year gap, I suppose.
So
it could have
if
happened.
these people are crapping in the streets all the way back then, and then they're going flying in a stealth fighter like today, or like not even today. I mean, you think about when they built the first one. You think about when they built like the SR-71 Blackbird. Like that's really fast from going from like zero technology to a lot. So now we're talking
very
about
valid.
Yeah, we have, based on the Septuagint timeline, even if we separate the 700 years, I think we would say we are about 6,500 years from Adam.
Bro,
so we're talking about like 100 or 200 years, like that they could have done all this stuff before.
And then it could have been lost within another 200 years. It could have
absolutely.
Just been
that's exactly what we're saying.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. They wipe everyone out. They start all over.
Okay, so I'm glad
intentionally repopulate an area. Give them technology and do it all over again.
And of course, like I said, in that show Foundation, there's one robot left, and nobody knows she's a robot. Right? But there's one robot left, and then there's also a skull somewhere else.
Yeah, the emperors are the only ones that know she's a robot, literally.
Yep. And they're all protecting that secret. Okay, this is the last video I want to play because I think this will tie it all together.
I don't believe they're going to fake an alien invasion. They'll realize that that's a dumb idea. I think after Disclosure Day, they realize that this is not going to work. No one cared about this movie. No one will care about an alien invasion. But they will fake a sentient artificial intelligence that we have lost control of. And that will work. Everyone will believe that. Am I right? If we lose control of artificial intelligence tomorrow, drones start attacking people, computers go down, whole power grids go down, and they tell you that actually we've lost control of one of these advanced artificial intelligence things. Will you believe that? You could believe that, right? But that will be fake as well. That will be fake as well. They will simulate the sentience. This is the simulated sentience hypothesis that will bring about the new Leviathan, and the new Leviathan of the new age will be simulated. Yes, I am absolutely mentally ill. I understand this. It's very hypocritical for me to say all this alien stuff is and then me tell you the craziest thing you've ever heard in your life. But let me tell you, Skynet will be fake. Skynet will be simulated, and that's what they're going to use. It's not going to be an alien invasion. It's going to be a simulated sentience invasion. A fake AI demon.
Well, I agree with him. I totally agree with that.
Doesn't it all fit together?
Bro, I've thought that before already. Like, I totally agree with that guy. Like that seems, and I think they're gonna sacrifice Israel too. I think Israel's gonna get sacrificed, and then they're gonna I totally see it coming. Like that's,
that would
and
make
then they're
sense
gonna
of their merger with the United States, right?
Yeah, and that's why they're all moving to Argentina and to Ukraine, because they're gonna sacrifice that country, and the leftover people that are there are gonna be cannon fodder.
100%, 1,000% of what he just said is because, the way that the public is reacting to all the dumb stuff that we showed with Trump's video, all the stuff that the White House is trying to release, all the people even in our space trying to say, well, they totally have this alien program and blah, blah, blah. People don't care about these stupid grainy videos of these UAPs. They don't. They don't care about that. So if their goal with that stuff is to make people afraid for this, again, like the whole behold the pale horse stuff with the fake alien invasion, it seems like most people have kind of checked out of that. They think it's fake. A lot of people believed in aliens before the government was pushing it so hard. Now they're saying very clearly this is a psyop. But that thing right there is because when Elon Musk and people like that are saying we're summoning the demon, I mean, they're already telling you, they're already talking about how they have a certain % chance that AI is going to take over and fire off the nukes, just like in the Terminator movies, just like the movies like The Matrix. They're showing that stuff so much that idea
fear's there.
That idea is way more likely to trigger a reaction from the public that, again, allows them to do the exact same thing that they were planning on doing with a fake alien invasion. because it still comes back to control, that they can control you because they gave us all this stuff. And again, that's a consent thing because we've accepted it. Even us, we obviously, we're not shy about admitting, like, we use AI for certain things, but now like everybody's using it. It's free. Why is it free? Because it's not free. There's a cost to this. And I think that resonates with me so much more. I think that will resonate with lots of people, that if AI decided to do something they didn't expect, they want you to think that the AI did it by itself, but they could obviously control these computers to get it to do whatever they want it to do.
True story.
Well, that was pretty cool. I didn't think that the skull conversation was going to morph into this, but I think that, again, this is still a theory, but I think that there's some evidence. There's some there, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, anyways, guys, I hope you appreciated this episode. If you guys want to watch these episodes early and uncensored, please consider supporting this podcast over on Patreon. Also, please consider supporting the sponsor of this podcast, Modern Roots Life. Get yourself healthy, support a good Christian-owned company and your health. Win, win, win. And also, check out the merch store. Grab yourself a Jesus Said There Be Haters shirt, because there's lots of haters lately. So you guys can all enjoy wearing this flag. Also, if you guys are considering making content on social media and you're not sure how to do it, please consider checking out the Echoes of Truth Network for coaching. Regardless, guys, I appreciate you guys watching, listening, sharing, subscribing, all the things. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
JT's mixtape, now a show about history, faith, and truth, with the sound and the conversation we've never heard before. JT's mixtape, now there's a podcast that has exactly what we've been looking for all of us who will not compromise. Listen, JT created mixtape for us.